Good morning. Thank you for joining me here on Frankly Speaking. I'm your host, Frank Acom, and we are broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio on beautiful Market Street in Corning. And speaking of Corning, it's going to be a busy weekend because it is Glass Fest. In a little bit, we're going to be speaking with Kristen Brewer. She's going to tell us all about Glass Fest, May 25th through the 28th. You can find out more at gafferdistrict.com/events. So we'll be speaking with her in just a little bit. I think we should hit the ground running this morning because there's a major topic here locally that I've been receiving a lot of questions about. And as always, you can contact me. But before that, I'm going to go to the first part of our conversation. According to sources, and apparently that source spoke with Zach Fink, that Governor Hochul's administration has identified 3 dorms of SUNY campuses that will be used to house migrants. That's Buffalo, Stony Brook, and Albany. That's 1,500 beds total. Now, of course, one of the major problems with this idea, and Governor Hochul has addressed it, is the fact that come August, and probably a little bit before, those dormitories are going to be needed. So it's kind of kicking the can down the road. And the reason I mention it, 1, was to give you that information. But 2, because we've had so many counties in our area declare a state of emergency. And I've had people ask me, well, what about Steuben County? Why have we heard nothing from Steuben County? So yesterday, a friend of Frankly Speaking, Jack Wheeler, county manager, released a statement on this. And I thought I would give you kind of a unbiased look at what he said. Just tell you what he said, and you can weigh in on it. Because if you're new to the program, that's the whole goal of this show, is to get community involvement. This show is just as much yours as it is mine. Again, this coming from Steuben County, later afternoon yesterday. With multiple New York counties issuing state of emergencies in anticipation of an asylum seeker migrant crisis, Steuben County officials want to offer an update on the actions they've taken to proactively address this situation. Now, I will be the first to admit, before I continue on, it's not the best to just read a whole statement as a rule, but I think it's necessary for this conversation, so please bear with me. Today, Steuben County has not issued a declaration of state of emergency for some very important reasons. First, county officials are engaging with state agencies, such as the New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services, and the New York State Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance, the New York State Association of Counties, and other stakeholders on nearly a daily basis. Under the Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance regulations, for a county or the city of New York to place individuals in temporary housing outside of their jurisdiction, they must notify the receiving county prior. Steuben County has received no indication that asylum seeker migrants have been or will be placed in the county in the near future. So it's going on the concept that this office specifically, or Governor Hochul's office, or someone will send an announcement, I suppose, for lack of a better word, to the county, suggesting that there will be asylum seeker migrants placed in the county. Continuing. Further, New York state law requires specific thresholds for an emergency to be declared, including the presence of an immediate danger. As Steuben County has not received any indication that there is a planned influx of asylum seekers or migrants, a state of emergency is improper at this time. In addition, local states of emergency and emergency orders have a maximum time limit of 30 days. If Steuben were to declare an emergency too early, it could lose the ability to implement provisions for response if circumstances require this at a later time. That's interesting. Finally, as I wrap up this quick statement, this issue is a top priority for Steuben County officials and the situation monitored continuously. The county lacks the infrastructure to support a large influx of a temporary homeless population. Should a situation arise where such an influx was planned, the county will take the necessary steps, including issuance of a state of emergency. For everyone who has reached out to the program and asked an important question, That is the response from Steuben County Manager Jack Wheeler. I know there's been a lot of talk about it, and I thought it was only fair to bring you all the information that we had here on Frankly Speaking. So you can contact me. I just had that up on the screen if you would like to weigh in on that topic. We need to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. Joining me in the studio this morning, we have Kristen Brewer from the Gafford District. Thanks so much for being on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Well, especially at this time, you've got to be swamped.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that's the right word? Okay.
Yes, absolutely. But still, I'm excited to talk about Glass Fest.
Well, you must. You probably work on it all year, right?
We do actually.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it gets definitely tight as it gets closer, but I'm so excited for this one because the live glass blowing's back,
Right.
and I just love that part.
So yeah, you missed that part, and that's back this year.
Yes.
So everything kicks off tomorrow, right?
Yeah, tomorrow in the afternoon starts with the glass ribbon cutting over at the Corning Museum of Glass.
Sure.
And then they have their 2300 degrees, their Glass Fest 2300 degrees right after, I think 6 to 8. And it's both things free, open to the public.
Wow.
And then we're actually closing the street a little early this year.
Yeah, I
It's
saw
going to close
that.
on Friday.
I'm going to make that announcement a little bit with all the closures so people can be prepared. I'm going to have you move that mic just a little bit closer to you. That's my fault. But it sounded great. One thing that you mentioned about tomorrow, is that's all free and open to the public, and that's all the events.
It really is, yeah. There's a few things that, there's going to be dining on the streets.
Well,
of
sure.
course,
Yeah, well, of course, yeah.
And, there'll be, but beyond that, man, I mean, if you're just going to be buying from vendors, that would be about the only thing. But there's face painting and activities for kids and magicians and entertainment and demonstrations. It's all free and open to the public.
How many volunteers does this take?
Oh, we never get enough, I'll tell you that.
Okay, so can people still volunteer?
Yeah, they certainly
Okay.
can. They definitely can, just by calling our office at 607-937-6292. And we have a whole slate of events for the summer, too, if anybody's interested in pitching in.
We have a lot of events.
We
so
do.
You guys are always busy. I was looking at, and I don't want to go through every day necessarily, but I love the fact that because it is Memorial Day weekend, it's not just all the fun and games. There's a lot of time that you take away and take a step back and remember our veterans. Remember those that gave so much for us. And that starts Friday with the American Legion Auxiliary presents National Poppy Day, that big ceremony. That's at noon. But looking at the schedule here, I think we could spend the full show on all the things that you have every single day.
Yeah, truly. And the Memorial Memorial Day tribute on Sunday afternoon is a pretty special event. And we do get a great turnout for it. And, there's a 21-gun salute, there's a prayer, there's a little bit of a memorial speech from the mayor. And then we have a great musician coming on with a little bit of everything, but usually I'll have a little of Americana pitch on it too. So.
And I'm glad you mentioned music because you have a full lineup all weekend of various, like every kind of music you can think of.
Yeah.
And Fuel's got to be big. You must be so excited about that.
Gosh, well, hats off to our events manager. He is just amazing with finding the right acts. But Fuel, we have heard from people across the country saying, I'm coming.
Yeah.
I was blown away. So if you're a 90s kid,
of course,
then you're just
Fuel.
Yeah.
Exactly. And again, that's free as well. Fuel is something you would think you would travel to pay good amount a ticket. I mean, because tickets aren't cheap anymore anywhere you go. So free show. How is all this possible?
Honestly, through sponsorship, and really that's what makes or breaks our events. I mean, we are lucky enough this year to have our big Saturday act, actually, the Dark Side of the Moon Pink Floyd tribute band. Different era on that one.
But that's nice, though, too, to have two different kinds of music. So that's what I'm saying. All the bands are a little bit different.
That one's sponsored by Corning Civic Music. They just contacted us and said, we want to do something with you for Glass Fest. That was great. We have Shimon Canal Trust Company that's always been there from us since day one for Glass Fest. And then we also have Simmons Rockwell, who's a Rock the Park.
Of course.
Sponsor. And some small business sponsors, too, that mean a lot to us as well.
Oh, of course. All sponsors. That's how something this amazing is possible. And there's fireworks.
Yes. And I don't mean to brag, But I think these are the best fireworks of the season.
Uh-oh.
I'm just saying.
Oh,
I'm just
no,
saying.
I'm going to get so many calls.
Yeah, I know the Lions Club's gonna be like, no.
We're starting a gang war here for fireworks displays.
Terrible.
But I do want, because we talk so much about various Memorial Day salutes, and that is on Sunday from 2:30 till 3. That's going to be really nice. And then you have, like you said, you have music. Isaiah Smallwood from American Idol season 21. Well, 21.
Yeah.
I almost said 2. But from 3:15 to 4:45 on Sunday. So you're right up from tomorrow till Sunday, going right till the end.
Right.
So what's your
exactly.
Monday look like?
Everyone's flat out at home. The office is closed.
Yes, I believe it. And then the next day you start planning it again.
Yeah, we do actually. So Monday, yeah, we're gonna probably all try to take a breath. But Thursday, farmers market starts.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
We were just talking. I wondered when it started.
Oh, I love farmers market.
know.
I think everyone does
Yeah.
actually.
Well, yeah, if you go there at noon, everybody in Corning, I think, loves it.
Get a donut.
So much great food. So back to Glassfest. The best place to find out more is probably GafferDistrict.com,
Yes.
right? /events. So let me ask you, do you have a moment to walk around, or are you just busy the whole time when you do it?
Well, actually, believe it or not, we all are scheduled at certain places at certain
okay.
times. I'm the director of marketing and communications, or I'm sorry, that's not even my title, marketing and design, and communications in there as well. So I'm at the info table a lot, talking
Okay.
about the Gaffer District, handing things out. Our event manager and director are just full out running. We have maintenance people that are very busy, trying to keep it clean and pretty while everyone's down here. But yeah, we all have throughout the entire weekend, first thing in the morning till nighttime, and we do get to go home and go to sleep. We are supposed to be in certain areas, but I mean, we get a break for lunch and stuff like that.
Well,
but it's believe it or not, I don't know if I'll say this Sunday night at 7:00 at night. It is fun. And in the Gaffer District office, we're a great family, so we love pitching in together. There'll be lots of laughs and lots of
course.
sore feet.
Well, of course. And the reason I ask is there something that you're looking forward to the most, or is there a favorite part every year that you look forward to?
For Glassfest, I just love to see the people watch the live glass blowing, and to the kids. Kids always are having so much fun. So, and we have a few giveaways for the kids this week, and some flags, and kind of just patriotic theme kind of things. To be honest, we're hoping that kids bring the adults over and get more information about the Gaffer District.
Of course.
We got some fun stuff. So.
Oh, isn't that great? If someone's never been to Glassfest, which is hard to believe someone hasn't been to Glassfest if they're in this area and watching this program, what would you say they should know?
I would say that they should know that the parking garage is free throughout the event. They can enter on from Centerway Bridge from Tioga end. Otherwise, the usual Walnut Street end for our locals will know that entrance. It's closed because of the traffic for the event. But so parking, and then there's also parking even on our first street, which is not a far walk over.
No.
So that's always a concern. I want people to know there is parking, and there is handicapped accessible parking in our garage, which is so close to
Very
all
close.
the activities. I would say don't forget that the biggest part of all of our events is to bring people down to see our small businesses. And shopping local is so important.
It is.
We're just coming off kind of a slow season. The big season's just starting. So check out the stores. They have a lot of promos going on right now and special events and demos for the event. So there's fun entertainment in there as well, even behind the vendors. And then I think people love or hate, but a lot of people love the outdoor dining, and that will start Friday night too. So it's kind of fun to go out and eat on the street, something that's kind of novel. And then the events crew put a live band on each block.
Oh,
so
okay.
you can kind of dine and listen to music.
Wow, isn't that great?
Yeah.
And you said it is kickoff to the season. This does feel like the beginning of summer.
It does,
when it
unofficially,
starts.
right? Yeah.
Right. I just can't believe how much you can pack in this many days. So again, I want people to go to GafferDistrict.com/events. I can't thank you enough for being on the program. I feel like we could spend so much time because I'm just looking at the schedule and little by little. There's so much we could talk about. Is there anything that I missed that we should tell the viewers right now?
So yes, I will tell you that on block, we call it block 5. So it would be down by like where Burger King and
Oh, sure.
Butcher's Son, that block down by Wegmans, has something new this year, and it's live metalworking demos all weekend. 2 artists from artist group called Crow's Nest and the group from the Heritage Village are going to come and be doing some blacksmithing and stuff like that. It's going to be interactive, though. The crowd gets to help design what some of these really cool found object sculptures are. So that's for the Crow's Nest group. And then, of course, getting to see Leon Golder with his, doing his blacksmithing is always really pretty cool. So I'd say don't forget to check out that block closest to Wegmans. There's some really cool, neat new stuff going on down there.
So you're expanding past glass. Now you're going into metal.
Yeah. So we call it Glass and Fire Arts.
Okay.
And normally, we kind of missed that a little bit since COVID and kind of trying to eke on back, but we're back.
Oh,
We're back.
yeah, I believe so. And it was kind of sad during COVID. Events like this were so, and I don't always want to bring it up because it's such a bad time for people, but it's so, what's the word? I'm like inspirational that we're back.
Yeah,
Is that the right word?
feels good.
Probably
Yeah,
not, but-
no, it is inspirational. It's exciting, and the nostalgic feeling of all that good stuff,
Yeah.
kind of getting rid of all those,
Yeah.
virtual event feelings
I
and stuff
know.
like that. And it's nice to see your neighbors again.
That's the big thing. I was just going to say, it's the people watching. You see so many people you haven't seen maybe since the beginning of COVID,
I know.
unfortunately.
I know. Yeah. Okay, that might be my favorite part actually.
Okay,
At the
same-
at the info table, watching people.
Oh, yeah. You must, that sounds fun. Can I join you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, Kristen Brewer's been our guest. Thanks so much for being on the program. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. This has been the M.A. Neal Financial Services section of our program. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Ake. I'm just trying to see. We may not have audio coming through. Hold on. There we go. Okay, I think we do. I want to thank Kristen Brewer for being our guest this morning, talking about Glass Fest. I do want to highlight the road closures in just a little bit, so you'll be prepared if you work here in Corning or you're just coming out to Corning. But I was looking at the list. I know I kept saying it during our interview. But the bands, there is a little bit of everything here. As multi-platinum award-winning band Fuel is playing for free, 8:30 till 10 on Friday. Bad Bear, I like that name. They're kind of rock and funky. That's 7 to 8 right before on Friday. And then right before them, Houston Baker Trio. That's just on Friday. Saturday, there's bands. Sunday, I don't know. I think it's a great event that we offer here in the Gafford District. So I thank Kristen Brewer for being our guest. Here is the road closures so that you can be prepared for the weekend festivities. Those are I'm not going to read them all. You can see them there on the screen just so that you are prepared. We'll keep them up for just a second. But find out more about Glass Fest at gafforddistrict.com/events, or if you just go to gafforddistrict.com, you can look on the website. You will find it there. Very easy. Remember, it kicks off tomorrow with the ribbon cutting at the Corning Museum of Glass. That's in the amphitheater at 5:30. And right after that, it's the 2300 event. That's going to have music. That's a fun event if you've never been to that. That's from 6 to 8 p.m. Again, free and open to the public. So we have to take another short break. Please stay with us. We'll be back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. We are back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom, and we are broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio here on Marcus Street. And that's why we so enjoyed having Kristen Brewer on the program for the M.A. Neal Financial Services interview section of our program. I'm just going to bring up this topic real quick because it doesn't go in line with the politics we've been talking this morning. Earlier, we mentioned Steuben County's reasoning behind not issuing a state of emergency. Again, you can weigh in on that topic or any topic we're about to discuss. But if you recall, last week I had a story for you where they were suggesting, it was really odd, it almost seemed propagandish, where it was saying, well, maybe social media isn't hurting younger people. But then the person who wrote the study, if you can call it a study, or the article said, but the information they're getting is based on information from the social media companies. It seemed very weird. Now, yesterday, the news broke that the U.S. Surgeon General is warning that there isn't enough evidence to show that social media is safe for children and teens. That's perhaps a better way to look at it. It's not that, well, the information they gave us shows that there's not a problem. It's showing that there could be a problem. With young people, social media use near universal, Dr. Murthy said. Its true impact on mental health has not been fully understood. We have seen some states start to deal with specifically TikTok. Now, if you remember, this is what was also interesting when that article came out last week, that Meta, used to be kind of Facebook, or it's a parent company of Facebook, They were aware of this years ago. It was a whistleblower scenario, but they studied the effects on Instagram on teens' mental health and found that the peer pressure generated by the visually focused app led to mental health and body image problems. One internal study, this was internal through Meta, cited 13.5% of teen girls saying Instagram makes thoughts of suicide worse, and 17% of teen girls saying it makes eating disorders worse. So there could be a profound risk of harm. Just keep that in mind if you have young people at home. The CDC back in 2021 found that nearly 25% of teenage girls had made a suicide plan. Isn't that horrible? But it is weird how those in the media try to, I'm not going to say promote a narrative, but try to suggest that maybe it isn't as harmful, when it seems to me time after time the studies or the anecdotal evidence is alarming and terrifying. Okay, we're going to move along to the debt ceiling, what everybody is talking about, the big issue of the day. I guess we're no closer. It was Jake Sherman releasing over Twitter an inside look at Speaker McCarthy holding conference, saying it was a closed house GOP meeting. I need you to all hang in with me on the debt limit. We are nowhere near a deal yet. That was Speaker McCarthy, of course, anonymous sources, still worth taking into mind. Remember where we were. They refused to negotiate. That is McCarthy's, for lack of a better term, talking point. They made a mistake to not negotiate. Let's stay strong. I will say I believe that's a good point. Listen, in my mind, you saw Republicans come up with a plan. They passed that bill and said, here we go. Now let's start the conversation. The president dragging his feet for quite some time, and McCarthy highlighting that as well, not negotiating, many in the power of the bigger names, if you will, in the Democrat Party saying, we're not going to negotiate. This is not even a starter. That means things are not being done in good faith. Now, when it wasn't behind closed doors, Kevin McCarthy, Speaker McCarthy, said that it has been productive. The conversations have been productive and professional. Negotiations will continue at 11 a.m. this morning. So they're still having the conversations. But when the Democrats, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit, they're concerned with Biden's negotiations. They're upset that this may not end up going their way. And some, the more extreme wings of the party, are outraged that they're even talking to Republicans, that the administration and Biden are even having any conversation with the Republicans. Now, I don't know. That doesn't sound like a unifying theme from the president. Now, before we talk about that side of the issue, CNN, of all places, not a place that I would think would want to highlight this, but ultimately did, to their credit, saying 60% of those that they polled say the debt ceiling increase should come with spending cuts. But if you look at what is being said in the media and said in Washington, Democrats are not willing to have a conversation if it deals with spending cuts. Now, I know by definition of negotiation, you have to give and take. They, according to reports, do not seem to want to have the give and take. Seems it's a more of a my way or the highway. So, again, coming from CNN, not necessarily, I'm sure, a fan of the way Republicans have asked and demanded for spending cuts. This is some of the key numbers they found from their polling, not just on the debt limit. They looked at Joe Biden specifically. Just 35% approve of the way the president is handling the federal budget. Just 35%. 34% of his 34 approve of his handling of the economy, and 30% his handling of immigration. 30%. You know, that's the problem with polling, though. You say, how could even 30% agree with the handling of immigration? But I'm just reading what has come from CNN. So 35% approve of the way he's handled the budget. That's not good numbers for a man running for re-election. We talked about it yesterday. It is my thought on the issue, and many others, that if we don't hit that June 1st deadline, and the media, of course, goes into a hysterics, that it's going to be the end of the world, they are going to try to blame what is, if not already a recession, a predicted 99% predicted rate of a recession within the next 12 months. He will try to blame that on Republicans because it is coming up on the election year. So that's plays a significant factor in these negotiations as well, because they're already trying to pin the bad economy on something that's come up within the last 100 days. Obviously disingenuous there. 34% approve of his handling of the economy. We know, I mean, never mind, the media will tell you, never mind what you're experiencing, never mind when you go to the grocery store or you're trying to buy a new vehicle or whatever. Don't let any of that bother you, because no, everything's fine, everything's hunky-dory. Now it's gotten so bad with inflation. And remember, the inflation caused in part by this outrageous spending that Republicans are saying, can we just cut back? Can we cut back? Now, Democrats have proposed freezing spending, but we're already spending at too outrageous amounts that it's just not sustainable. And that's why we're seeing the problems with the economy. So again, not to keep reading the numbers, but 34% approve of the president's handling of the economy, and just 30% on his handling of immigration. So, and the immigration is going to be a major issue, especially when, like we just talked about, Governor Hochul proposing those SUNY campuses, the towns that are hit by this influx. It's going to become a major issue at the state level in New York, but also nationwide, because obviously this isn't, somehow it looks like it's just a New York State issue, but clearly it is not. It's a countrywide issue that many places will be dealing with. But we got to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. Please weigh in on all of this, by the way. Weigh in on all the topics. You agree, you disagree? How do you think the debt ceiling negotiations are going? What message would you send to either President Biden? What message would you send to the Republicans or the Democrats? I would love to hear from you anytime about any topic. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. We are back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio on Market Street in Corning. So Speaker McCarthy, we're talking about the debt ceiling, the national debt, etc. I showed you those numbers yesterday. What was it? Each individual taxpayer now owes $250,000. So House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, and again, that's why the polls show that people want spending cuts. People realize it. I know politicians and those in the media don't believe in the American people's intelligence a lot of time, but we understand why things cost so much, why there's so much inflation. Anyway, so Speaker McCarthy, maybe I'll finally get through this text. I keep interrupting myself. Said there are 9 days left for Democrats to meet the deadline. So this must have been yesterday. But since President Biden ignored this debt crisis, and this I think is a very good point coming from the speaker, but since President Biden ignored this debt crisis for more than 100 days, make no mistake, any default would be the Biden default. I think there's some worry there, because I talked about it in the early days where it's, this is dire, this will be catastrophic, let's meet in about a week and a half. And you're thinking, if there's some crisis in the company that you work for, is that, oh my gosh, we better deal with this. I will immediately. So I will see you in 2 weeks at a meeting. It makes no sense. But I do agree with that point, that to not even have the conversation for 100 days. And again, the Republican Party has put forth that plan, put forth that bill from the House. From the beginning, Speaker McCarthy and House Republicans have been very clear that Democrats' addiction to spending led to soaring inflation. I believe this came from McCarthy's office specifically. And has led to soaring inflation, greater dependence on China, and record debt. Exactly. Greater dependence on China, something we talk about so frequently here on the program. Now Washington must spend less because he wasted months ignoring the crisis until it became a full-blown emergency. President Biden now has just 9 days to get serious and strike a reasonable agreement to raise the debt limit immediately. Otherwise, he risks bumbling into the first default in American history. And I do think there was too much delay. I think there was that hardline stance that they weren't going to negotiate. All of this plays a very major factor in, I think, the perception of who's to blame if we do go into default, the first default in American history. And I think it's a good point, and the American people see it, that this spending, this administration was just spending like mad. It's led to the problems that we're having with inflation, our greater dependence on China, which can be terrifying when you start to look at the moves they're making, trying to be a world superpower, and not starting to make, are very nearly there, unfortunately, and our record debt, $250,000, you and I, the American taxpayer, owe individually, because our debt has grown that outrageously. So, oops, what did I do with that other piece? Oh, there it is. So now you're starting to see the blame game a little bit. I don't know if the blame game is the right term, but coming from the Wall Street Journal, Biden has no good options in the debt ceiling. And I received a comment to that point saying that Biden's decision is who he upsets more, the extreme left that will berate him for giving in, or the Wall Street elites that watch the stock market crash if he doesn't come to terms. That's coming from a viewer. As always, you can. Let me put that up. That'll be a good excuse to put up my information. He is stuck between a rock and a hard place in some ways. Even holding, isn't this amazing from Wall Street Journal? This goes to show you, no matter what they say during election time, bipartisan and working together, even holding spending talks with Republicans over this issue is courting backlash from progressive lawmakers who say Biden is backtracking on his refusal to negotiate over raising the borrowing limit. So they're upset that there's even conversations happening. So when they talk about we have to bridge the divide and we have to come together, they're not even willing to start the conversation when, again, a plan was put forth by Republicans, many conservatives believing it wasn't conservative enough, but still willing to start that negotiation. Biden's decision to play ball, again coming from the Wall Street Journal, with Republicans has alarmed members of his own party. Alarmed. A group of 66 House Democrats penned a letter to Biden last week calling on him to abandon talks altogether with Republicans. So again, no matter how the media twists this, I'm asking you, don't think about the media's perspective on this. Who would be to blame if we go to default? Again, the media, this administration, will try to blame Republicans. I think Republicans are used to that at this point. We know that's going to happen. It's still going to be frustrating. And you're going to see talking points from the White House blaming Republicans for inflation and for recession, I should say. So we know that's coming. But ask yourself truly who's been the one that was willing, what group has been willing to negotiate in good faith. Continuing, quote, this is from that letter sent by Democrats. We believe that relenting to congressional Republicans' economic ransom, and negotiating on devastating budget cuts is antithetical to our shared democratic values. Now, I don't know a ton about negotiations. I do know when you have something in your back pocket that you can use to help your side win more of what you want, that is going to be used. I can't remember. I wish I could quote them. I can't. Here it is. Representative Brian Donalds, a Florida Republican and a member of the House Freedom Caucus, saying, if the majority is not happy, would Nancy Pelosi ever do this? So saying that Nancy Pelosi, that's my same idea here. You're telling me and Donald Trump mentioned it, that Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer came in and said, they use this too, to go against the default, using that as a power move. I mean, it doesn't take brilliance to see that's going to help you in negotiations if you have something so monumental in your back pocket. No one wants it. Republicans have been clear. No one wants to default on our debt. But we have to have a real fruitful conversation and negotiation, not just it's our way or the highway. And according to that letter, it is the my way or the highway, where Democrats do not want to even start the conversation because they might have to give in a little bit because they don't have complete power. But that's what happens when the American people vote and have a split government. So I know we've talked probably more than enough about this issue, but the overwhelming consensus, according to CNN, to Democrats is the GOP demands were too much to stomach. And that's when they got kind of weird. They wanted President Biden to go into murky territory, such as using the 14th Amendment. And then they publicly, and this was Pramila J. Paul, and I only ever read her name. I can never remember how to say it, representative. She said, I think, and this they're saying offer the warning. You see the language. I think there would be a huge backlash from our entire House Democratic caucus. Certainly the progressives, but also in the streets. Isn't it interesting that it always goes to this protest in the streets? We know what that's led to in the past. That was the veiled threat by the Congressional Progressive Caucus if Biden is willing to meet any of the GOP demands. That, again, I think there'd be a huge backlash from our entire House Democratic caucus, certainly the progressives, but also in the streets. That's makes you a little uneasy. Biden, who repeatedly insisted he wouldn't negotiate on the debt ceiling, only to do so in the 11th hour because he dragged his feet and he tried to play hardball, and it doesn't work when someone has power, when Republicans have power, is now contending with an increasingly restive Democrat caucus, uneasy about what type of deal he might cut. Yeah, so he is in a rock and a hard place. Let's see how he handles it. It's got to be a little easier because he knows the media will cover for him, and of course his party. Democrat Representative Jamal Bowman, a New York member of the Progressive Caucus, said, I think many of us are already alienated a little bit, even me included, because I think we were sort of forced into a corner of negotiation because the Republicans have been so reckless with their rhetoric around being okay with default and needing to deal with unnecessary spending. It's not reckless. I mean, again, I don't understand. You're telling me if the shoe was on the other foot, they wouldn't be using that chip that they have in their back pocket? It's more Washington bluster. I realized I am running late, so stay with us. We're going to change up the topic, but you can always weigh in on any of the topics we discuss or anything else. So we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. We'll be right back. We are back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. We're going to have to take another short break because I'm running late. We just have so much to talk about, and we had such a great guest in Kristen Brewer from the Gafford District. I just wanted to mention quickly our friends at the Glass City Chorus. They sent me a very nice email. They're a group of roughly a dozen singers. They do a cappella, barbershop. They're celebrating their 75th annual show. And what they're going to do in honor of that is play a free show for the city of Corning on Saturday. There you go. You see it right there, January 3rd at 7 at the Corning Painting Post High School. Along with the chorus, there'll be several local quartets performing. The feature quartet, will be the nationally recognized Rule Number One. That's her name, Rule Number One. In addition to the free concert, they are always looking for individuals who enjoy singing, who would be interested in joining them. You can contact me, reach out to me. I can get you in touch with them. You don't have to be an all-star. You don't have to be on American Idol. If you can sing Happy Birthday, they say, you'll be just fine. So I hope you can attend that event. I wanted to mention it to you before we took this break. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. We are back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. We have a couple of quick stories. We do have to take one more break, but I have a couple quick stories that I want to get to before we run out of time on today's edition of Frankly Speaking. Governor DeSantis, this is an interesting move. We know that he's been teasing, I think his wife as well, that a big announcement coming soon. According to sources, I know we read a lot of things from sources here on the program, is that he's going to announce today at 6 p.m., and this is what I find interesting, during a conversation with Elon Musk on Twitter. Along with his announcement, he's going to file the paperwork with the Federal Election Commission, which officially launches his campaign. Then tomorrow, his first national TV interview will follow the announcement. So actually today on Fox News' Trey Gowdy, Wednesday at 8 p.m. on Fox News tonight. Now, former President Trump weighed in on this, as he is known to do, this being one of his advisors, but of course this cannot go unchecked. Announcing on Twitter is perfect for Ron DeSantis. This way he doesn't have to interact with people and the media can't ask him any questions. Oof. All right, there you go. So he's going to announce today, if you're on Twitter, at 6, and then you can watch his interview. What time did I say it was? I already forgot. At 8 o'clock? Yes, 8 o'clock on Trey Gowdy's show. One other thing about DeSantis, and sometimes you got to ask who the source is from. Adam Kinzinger, remember him? Former representative from Illinois. Kind of a never-Trumper type guy. He was on Anderson Cooper's show, and they said, well, you worked with DeSantis. What was it like? Well, he's not necessarily the best campaigner. I think that is starting to be obvious. That's something I said early on. If you look back at the history of the primaries, at least on the Republican side, whoever is the front runner right now ends up being the nominee. So they said, well, what's he like in person? Look, he is hard to get along with one-on-one. He is an awkward person. That's coming from Adam Kinzinger. I'm not knocking DeSantis. I'm saying, glass houses. Let's take a short break before I run completely out of time. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. Thanks again for joining us. This is Frankly Speaking. I'm your host, Frank Acom. As we wrap things up, go through a couple of quick stories here. You see this. Tim Scott makes his announcement just the other day. He's running for president. $2 million in the first 24 hours. There was talks of some big donors promising to get him a lot of money for this race. He seems to be doing a good job so far. I know it's early, and I know many Trump and or DeSantis supporters, supporters have been critical of his campaign. I know The View took not that they're Trump or DeSantis supporters, but they took, I think, very nasty shots at Tim Scott. So it's going to be interesting with the kind of money that he's been hauling in, how that campaign goes. I do know that I don't think this is the best for the optics of, former President Trump so often says that these are witch hunts, these cases against him are, politically motivated. Probably if you want to defeat that narrative from Trump, you don't set the criminal trial for the middle of Republican primaries in March of 2024, as this judge did, and then suggest you better keep your schedule open. Now, he didn't say that word for word, but you have to be prepared for the trial. And he's not allowed to share any evidence or use social media for some of the trial information. The protective order said evidence may not be shared or posted to any news or social media. And instantly, the former president came out and said, just had New York County Supreme Court hearing where I believe my First Amendment rights, freedom of speech, have been violated, and they forced upon us a trial date of March 25th, right in the middle of primary season. Very unfair. But this is exactly what the radical left Democrats wanted. It's called election interference, and nothing like this has ever happened in our country before. It's not a good look. I mean, it adds to the fodder. It adds to things that the former president can campaign on. We are out of time. Thank you to everybody who joined us. Thank you to Kristen Brewer for being our guest. Find out more at GafferDistrict.com/events. And I think you'll have a lot of fun when you attend Glass Fest starting May 25th, running till the 28th. Have a great day, everyone. We will be back tomorrow morning starting at 7 a.m. with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, have a great day. Hi, I'm Frank Acom. Thanks for checking out our YouTube page. We'll be uploading each edition of Frankly Speaking 1 week after the original air date. So, let me remind you, to watch the live version of Frankly Speaking, weekday mornings starting at 7, only on WYDC TV, Big Fox.